Welcome to A Better HR Business, the podcast that looks at how HR consultants and HR tech firms grow their businesses and how they help their employers to get the best out of their people. Remember, for show notes and downloads, go to www.getmorehrclients.com/podcast. That's getmorehrclients.com/podcast. Okay, let's get started.
Hello, thanks for joining me again today. Good to have you along. And I'm really looking forward to today's conversation with Peng. Will is the CEO and co-founder of a cool company called Northstar. And Northstar helps employees better utilize their total compensation and make better financial decisions. And they do that through a range of options and range of approaches. So they've got the financial tool side, total comp tools, and then an amazing team of full-time financial advisors. But before we get into all of that, I want to say hello, Will, and thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and whereabouts are you calling in from?
I'm calling from LA.
LA, lovely part of the world. So, Will, before we get into Northstar itself, do you just want to give us a quick background about yourself and then what led to the formation of Northstar?
Sure, yeah. My background, I started my career as a product designer. Worked for a couple different startups. Both of them coincidentally were acquired by Facebook. After being a product designer, I spent some time as a VC, so investing in startups. So I was a partner at a venture capital firm called Red Swan, and we were very lucky to be a part of some great companies with a wide range, from companies like Warby Parker, but also several fintech companies like Coinbase and Oscar Health, Guideline 401k, and many others that really helped me have a front row seat to the emerging technology that enables us to solve this particular challenge in a completely new way. And that challenge is around helping everyone, not just the wealthy, make decisions about their personal finances, giving people access to those best practices that previously they wouldn't have access to. And this is a problem that's very personally important to me. As an immigrant, I was born in Taiwan. Parents moved their entire family to the US when I was quite young. And I have a lot of respect and admiration for the risk that they took, not having very much knowledge or not knowing much English, but also not much knowledge about finances or money in the bank account. And so very grateful for that opportunity. And as a result, was lucky enough to go to a great college, but graduated with a ton of student debt, and kind of was thrown into the real world with not very much idea of what to do, how to pay off my student debt, let alone balance it with all these other competing goals and priorities that everybody keeps saying that you should be tackling, like saving for an emergency fund, or contributing to your 401k at work, or enrolling and using your HSA. Maybe if you work at a startup, you have equity compensation. So it's a really complex web of choices that on the one hand is quite empowering because of the different choices that we can make for ourselves and the options that we have. But on the other hand, the responsibility is now in the hands of the individual to make the best decisions for themselves. So the reason why I'm excited to chat with you and also work closely with HR leaders is because we primarily partner with employers to help achieve this mission. We found that employment is, for the majority of people, the primary source of not only wealth creation, but also supporting their entire lives and supporting their families. So I think there's a really unique opportunity and also responsibility, not only on the individuals, but also employers, to provide the support around financial decisions for all of their employees. So that's a very high level background about myself and kind of how it led to our particular approach.
Nice. And when you were saying earlier about your earlier days in the tech startup world and then into the VC world, I was curious as to how you selected the field you went into, the employee financial health side of things, when you've got so many options. But you kind of shared that story, your family background and the evolution. And it is so bewildering for employees and even HR people who have to influence and not influence, but help educate, support their employees, their workforce. It's such a bewildering array of options out there. So can you tell us about Northstar? What does it actually do and how does it help people?
Yeah, so we like to think of ourselves as not only supporting the employees with their finances with one-on-one financial advice. All of our advisors are full-time financial advisors, and they're able to be paired actually with each individual rather than as a call center. We have a hybrid model where we also have a whole platform of self-service tools to manage your finances, receive your financial plan, but also start to automate your finances with behavioral psychology as really at the core of how we build our product. So it's being able to provide that personalized advice to employees, but doing it scalably. So this isn't just a call center of financial advisors that don't really scale, but also don't provide personalized advice. They're just answering one-off questions. But also they can really dive in deep with each individual situation across every life stage. But what makes us distinct about compared to other financial wellness providers is that we really incorporate total comp and benefits into our financial advice.
Yeah, I was going to
ask. As I was saying before, there's been a shift from a world of defined benefit plans. My dad still has a pension, but those are going away to a world of defined contribution. But I think that's indicative of a greater theme around the onus, the responsibility is now on the shoulders of the employees to make decisions. And as a result, HR leaders are receiving a lot of the questions from employees on what to do and how to make the best decisions for themselves, whether it be, it's not just about their salary either. It's about how much should I put into my 401k or which health plan should I choose? Health insurance is one of the biggest impacts on personal finances. So that it's really that holistic approach that not only supports the employee, but also supports the employer almost like as an extension of their teams.
Yeah. I'm in a Facebook group of HR people, and they're mostly generalists, and it's every day there are people throwing in questions. How do I do this? Anyone got any advice on that? But the range of topics is absolutely huge. And comp and bends is one aspect. So for them to have to be able to deal with all the different queries and as I said earlier, help their employees and their workforce answer all these questions is a huge challenge for them. So I noticed on the website, you guys have broken out a bunch of different use cases. So such as supporting diverse teams, attracting and retaining talent, supporting benefits decisions, increasing productivity, preparing for an IPO even, and answering employee questions. How did you choose these? Were these randomly selected, or were they issues that sort of bubbled to the top over time? And how do you make the connection between those issues and Northstar and what it does?
Yeah, these issues were not chosen by random. They were we came up with these by working closely and learning from HR leaders. So the way that we think about Northstar is perhaps a bit different, where we think about Northstar as foundational to the entire employee experience. So this starts even when a candidate receives an offer. How can you help a candidate make sense of that comp and benefits package, and what does that mean for their careers and their financial and life situation, but also for new hire onboarding. During new hire onboarding, you kind of have a deluge of information, and it's a challenge to support every single employee with answering those questions. Or during open enrollment, obviously one of the most hectic times of year, and many equity events like you mentioned with IPOs and recent tender offers and SPACs as a trend, exactly like you've been saying. I mean, HR leaders are now being put in a position where they need to cover a huge surface area in terms of the not only the specific questions that they can answer, but also the strategic direction of the business. So for example, with the equity events like preparing for an IPO, some of our clients include Snap and Zoom and Discord. Many of these are high growth companies and have gone public. And being able to, and we've heard from many HR leaders that their CEO will tell them, hey, we're going to IPO in 9 months. And they're kind of scrambling with their network to figure out how to best support the company and the employees through that event. So that's just one example. But some of the other examples that you mentioned around attracting and retaining talent. This is something that we directly heard from HR leaders and employers, and at the even at the CEO level, where everybody has heard of the trends by now, the Great Resignation, and this has always been an issue where it's really difficult to attract and retain the most talented people out there because they have so many options. And one of the most important ways, obviously, there are ways to attract people through your employer brand, through the mission of your business, the people at your company, and the valuable work and challenging work that they'll be working on. But of course, comp and benefits is one of the biggest ways to attract and retain talent. And people work to make money and to achieve their goals and their life plans. So the challenge that we've heard directly from HR leaders is that if employees do not understand the entirety of their total rewards package, they oftentimes look to their salary or increasing your salary as the only path to achieving financial stability or achieving their financial goals. So oftentimes I think we've seen the explosion of perks of, I mean, the ones that people make fun of, especially with companies, tech companies, are like ping pong tables and things like that. And those seem a bit removed from what employees actually want. And so employees oftentimes ask, why don't you just give me a raise? And of course, giving people a raise is helpful. But we think that it's just as impactful, if not more impactful, to emphasize, to number one, help employers choose the right benefits that fit their employee population's needs, but also help to communicate and promote and advise employees proactively about which benefits are relevant to them. So I've always found it interesting that not only are the tools to communicate benefits not really tech enabled yet today. I mean, oftentimes it's benefits booklets in a PDF format, portals and websites. It's not really that one-on-one support. And it's not really with providing the context of each individual's financial and life goals. And I've always found it interesting that so much of this communication happens once a year during open enrollment. And it's a big event, but the reason I find it interesting is because people don't make financial and life decisions one time a year. Of course, it's a big moment, but they often happen throughout the year. So how can we meet employees where they are as it happens? Here's an example. I was talking to a chief people officer about a year ago, and she was saying that they offer incredible benefits to support fertility and infertility and childbirth and child caregiving, but many employees still don't know about them. And the first time that she finds out about somebody who is having a child is that they applied for leave, and her hope was that she could find ways to actually support employees ahead of that time when they apply for leave, and because they do truly care about their employees. So it's sort of an interesting relationship where Northstar, as I was saying before, is kind of like and your advisor is an extension of your team, where we believe that the trust that we earn is incredibly important, and the key word there is earned. And so because there's always an interesting relationship between the employee and the employer. There's privacy concerns, and not to mention regulatory concerns around the employer can't give advice to the employee, financial advice. So we're kind of this perfect in between where we do have the trust of the employees so that they can feel comfortable sharing everything. But also we have the expertise and also knowledge. We have the financial expertise, but also the knowledge about the employer's details of their benefits to be able to do all the new hire onboarding presentations, for example, which we do.
And also, if you're dealing with that all the time, then your team of advisors would be very used to presenting it in the right way so that people understand it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's to the point of the full-time advisor team, and kind of, I did mention previously the idea of a call center. Why we think about this as an entire platform. So knowledge is shared when our advisors or our platform learns about a particular way to communicate benefits, or some specific detailed question about a health plan that we see pretty frequently because we work with tens of thousands of employees across many different employers. We can actually share those learnings across some of our other clients. So you're really getting the benefit of kind of the entire network of our clients when you work with us from an expertise perspective.
Look, I need to do a little pitch for my own company, because that's all we do is marketing related stuff for HR companies, and we see recurring themes. And we noticed, for instance, when the world went virtual, that everyone wanted to talk about how do you run a remote workforce, but that's all you ever heard about, and it kind of drove people crazy because that's all you heard about. But every HR related firm wants to promote services on that particular topic, so it's getting a little dull. So turning to your advice on business growth, because you've come from some successful acquisitions, you went to the VC world, so you've got that sort of cross business view of how different companies are growing, what they're doing, what works, what doesn't. What's your advice on what's worked, has not worked for you guys, and your advice for other companies, particularly in the HR tech space and in the larger consulting firms, what they can do to grow in this sort of changed world?
Yeah, it's a great question. And just like all of our clients, we're making sure that we're proactively creating a strong culture. For us in particular, we're actually, when the pandemic first hit, we fully committed to being a distributed team. We felt like, I mean, there were many reasons to do that, but from an organizational perspective, I felt like it's important to create a norm that, for example, I'm in LA, but I'm one of 4 people in LA, and we're in, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think the latest number is we're in 15 states. And so creating a default state that everybody's on the level playing field was incredibly important to us. And so it's not like conversations are happening in one place and they're not communicated elsewhere. So creating a culture of communication has been incredibly important for us. The other thing that's really important for us is that, of course, there are other things that we do to create camaraderie, which is very challenging in a remote environment. But I think something that we've really emphasized, and maybe is counterintuitive to the question of like how do you foster a great remote culture, is how can we create certainty around people's roles, their growth paths, and doing rewarding work. So we have really prioritized clarity around different levels, what it means to be in different levels, what comps you can expect in different levels, and so that for somebody who's joined a remote team, they kind of know, okay, these are the things that are expected of me, and maybe I'm co-developing these expectations to achieve my hopes and dreams when I join the company. So that's another thing that we found is incredibly important, and actually somewhat related and perhaps a subconscious learning from working with our clients and HR leaders is to the point of like, not only are we helping to communicate the value of your current comp and benefits package, but what does your future look like at this company? And some of the employers that we work with are actually quite inspiring. They're very clear about what equity refreshers you might get in the future, what salary bands in the next level up is going to look like, what it's going to, and so I think that clarity goes a long way to create a culture where you feel like you're a part of something instead of getting kind of one-off points or whiplash or feedback about how you can improve.
Yeah, it's a great way to harness energy, that's for sure. And I know on the marketing business growth side of things, you work with some amazing companies like Zoom and Discord, Service Titan, Thumbtack. How did you find and end up winning them as new clients or customers?
Yeah, a lot of it was there are many different ways that we find clients to work with, and some of those are through our personal networks. Some of them are through referrals. We love working with HR consultants, benefits brokers, and they've been incredibly helpful to help advocate for us because they also see the value of what we're providing to their clients. Yeah. And also we've seen several of our clients come in because of the content that we've written. And I like to believe that the content that we're writing, our team is writing, is actually helpful to HR leaders. I think especially in the consumer fintech space, and I'm sure in any space, I think there has been a push towards volume of content rather than quality of content. And so some of the key tenets of how we think about our content are, like I said, to make sure that as a standalone piece, it's valuable to the reader, the HR leader, so that they can come away with it. Even if they don't become a client, we can be helpful to them. Yeah, we also want to, we have this framing with our content that's like kind of ask an advisor. And so much of our content is actually written by our advisors. So perfect, yeah. It's the level of detail that maybe in a greater detail than you would expect from somebody who's maybe not a financial advisor and just kind of writing a generic piece. So hoping to create content that's unique and you can't read somewhere else because it has kind of the level of detail that you wouldn't get into unless you ask a financial advisor.
So for people listening, that's actually wonderful advice. If you can extract information, insights, advice from the CEO, your advisors, your experts within the business, that's a wonderful way to do it, as opposed to the top 10 best movies that relate to the financial services industry types of blogs and things you see out there. So we've covered a lot of ground. There's some great stuff. What do you see coming around the corner for the world of work and HR side of things? Because we've been through so much change. Do you see more of it, or what do you see evolving in the world of work?
Yeah, I think this is a great topic that we have one of the windows into a view of, and I know that it's a bit cliche, but I think it's been really exciting to see technology enable all different parts of the employee experience. And we've seen this with performance management as well. We've seen this with L&D, and we've seen it with total rewards. So it's been exciting to see many founders and technologists and designers and engineers apply their talents. You kind of saw the initial wave of like consumer internet wave, and a lot of that expertise now being applied to as software businesses to the HR space. So even in the past 3 years, I've seen when we first started the company and we tried to raise money from VCs, they were like, HR is like, why would you? And this I've always found this really derogatory and annoying as even outside of the fact that I was a founder raising money in this space, but VCs would ask, hey, like HR is a cost center. Like, why would they don't have any buying authority? And I've always felt I've and I think that has significantly changed. And to not only this point of kind of HR transformation, but also HR as the core of company growth. We talked about attracting and retaining the top talent and that's really core to that, or maybe the company's going public. And so I think there's a significant shift from HR being an organization that does things to kind of back office things to keep the business running to thinking of HR as this platform. And so it's been really exciting to see HR think strategically as a core part of the business, in many cases as a C-level title, rather than kind of an operational thing.
Absolutely. I mean, you can have two identical companies side by side, same equipment or same software processes and things like that, but the people within them who's driving change and looking after customers and clients and implementing best practices and maintaining and enhancing all of that, it comes down to that people side. So absolutely. Well, if people want to learn more about Northstar Money, what should they do next?
Sure, yeah. Our website is northstarmoney.com, and feel free to email me. My email is will@northstarmoney.com.
Excellent. And yeah, as you mentioned there, you've got a lot of great content on there, and as the use cases and background information on the financial tools, the total compensation tools, and indeed the advisors as well. So you built an amazing business, and it looks like it's going to get bigger, particularly if you're working with companies like Zoom who've gone insane thanks to a virus. So all power to you, and well done for the success you've had so far, and all the best for the future. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for joining us today on A Better HR Business, the podcast that explores the world of HR consulting and HR tech businesses. For show notes and downloads, go to www.getmorehrclients.com/podcast. That's getmorehrclients.com/podcast. Remember to subscribe and share the show with any friends who are busy growing a HR business. Thanks, and see you next time.